What's good? What's good, everybody? We are back. No, we. It's me. Um, it's Luke. I'm back in the studio one more time. Just fulfilling promises, man. Been working, things like that. So I'm back here because we got a story to tell, and we have to do this. I really want to get this story of of or the timeline that we're trying to build. I guess you can say that we have a certain amount of time to do it in, and I want to make sure that it gets done. So, first of all, thanks to everybody tuning in tonight. If you're in the YouTube family and you seeing this or whatever, we trying to run that algorithm up so we can spread this message as far as it needs to go. So if you can hit that like, share, and subscribe, that would be dope. On Facebook, if you can share this with your people, that's what's up, man. But we are back again now. So I'm gonna jump straight into it because I ain't gonna be on here that long. But we were giving a history, and we're gonna continue forward with that history because time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. It seems like every day something new is happening, something is changing. Right now they're having some type of presidential debate. It's all a charade. It's all shenanigans. You can disregard that to the side. By now, if you don't know, and it's sad because I get on social media or whatever, and I see black people talking about Kamala eating and all this other kind of, man, listen, man. Even everybody knows by now that Drake has ghostwriters. People, they have learned and studied to what makes you charge in a certain direction. So don't believe the hype, man. Just keep moving along. So I'm here to continue the history. That's what I'm here for tonight. And I most definitely ask that the Most High lead the conversation so that the right information is transposed, spread, and the right things are said the way they need to be said without our human interference as much as we can help it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get going. So I got a couple of articles here that I'm going to read, and what I'm going to do tonight is we're going to be talking about the Timucua Indians, and we're going to give some history into the Timucua Indians and who they were, what they meant to the American land, and also how they relate to Jekyll Island, where the Federal Reserve was established and where our country was essentially hijacked financially. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get this thing going. Y'all stick with me. Y'all tune in with me. Appreciate y'all. Many of y'all probably going to watch this tomorrow sometime. That's cool. Just rewind it back. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Let's politic, because you know that's what we're here to do. Okay. So, it says here that the Timucua tribe, the Timucua were Native American people who lived in northeast and north central Florida and southeast Georgia. They were the largest indigenous group in the area, and it consisted of about 35 chiefdoms. A chiefdom, we would essentially be like, if we could look at it today, it would be like a town. Like how you have your mayor and your governor, your mayor of your town. That would be a chief, okay? That would be essentially a similarity to a chief. And there were 35 chiefdoms within the area of the Timucua people. Many of these chiefdoms were leading thousands of people. So many of them had thousands of residents. So they were it's a very large group of people. The various groups of Timucua spoke several dialects of the Timucua language. At the time of European contact, Timucua speakers occupied about 19,200 square miles of the present-day states of Florida and Georgia, with an estimated population of 200,000 people. Milanich notes that the population density calculated from those figures, 10.4 per square mile, is close to the population densities calculated by other authors for the Bahamas and for Hispaniola at the time of first European contact. So in that region from, I would say, let me see if I can see a map here. Hold on. Let me see. If I can see a map, I'll see if I can kind of guess it out a little bit. Let's see. Okay, that's the territory. Now you got to zoom in on that, Playboy. All right, so I would say from Tallahassee, no, before Tallahassee, maybe like Fort Walton, Destin, somewhere along up in there, all the way to the eastern coast, down to about Jacksonville area, coming on Orlando, all the way up into the southeastern tip of Georgia. So all of that would have been the Timucua territory. So that area actually was inhabited by a group of people. The people that will continue, you'll see, they're very important. The Timucua people are very important to the early history of America. There's a lot that happened on Jekyll Island. Okay. So the territory occupied by the Timucua speakers stretched from the Altamaha River and Cumberland Island in present-day Georgia as far south as Lake George in central Florida, and from the Atlantic Ocean west to the Osceola River in the Florida Panhandle, though it reached the Gulf of Mexico at no more than a couple of points. The name Timucua, recorded by the French as Timucua, but this is likely a misprint, came from the exonym used by the Santeria of what is now Jacksonville to revert to the Utina, another group to the west of the St. Johns River. Now remember, the St. John River is important because that is the only river in America that flows north. Okay, and they poison it every year. They try to keep the juju from coming back to Florida, the mysticism from coming back to Florida, but it's already on the rise. They can't stop it anyway. So the Spanish came to use the term more broadly for other people in the area. So what became many different names over people became one name as a group. Okay, because of the settlers and the fact that they were writing the text during that time. So eventually it became the common term for all people who spoke what is known as Timucuan. While alliances and confederacies arose between the chiefdoms, the Timucua were never organized into a single political unit. The various groups of Timucua speakers practice several different cultural traditions. Okay, and that is why Jekyll Island is very, very important. The people suffered severely from the introduction of Eurasian infectious diseases. So what that's telling you now, they suffered severely from the introduction of Eurasian. That's Caucasian, that's European, that's Asiatic. That whole landmass, the Eurasian landmass, carried infectious diseases. By 1595, their population was estimated to have been reduced from 200,000 to 50,000, and 13 chiefdoms remained. By 1700, the population of the tribe had been reduced to the estimated 1,000 due to slave raids from Carolinian settlers and their Indian allies. So, in the Carolinas, there were slave owners that continued to get in trouble with the federal government for trafficking Indian slaves. The Indians were not allowed to be trafficked during that time. But there were certain landowners, slave owners in the Carolinas during the 1700s, okay, that continued to get in trouble with the federal government for trafficking Indians. Okay? And the reason I'm saying that twice is because my family listening, and that's where our people come from. Matter of fact, my great-grandmother was a child when they were running from the plantation owner who kept getting in trouble for trafficking Indian slaves. Okay? So the population had been reduced to estimated 1,000 due to slave rates and Carolinian settlers and their Indian allies. The local slave trade completed their extinction as a tribe soon after the turn of the 18th century. Now, this is where you have to be careful, because this line is very deadly, especially to somebody that comes on here reading on Wikipedia, okay? Because as we're going on here, you're going to come to Wikipedia a lot looking for things, so it's important to pay attention to this. The local slave trade completed their extinction as a tribe. What does that mean? When they say the local slave trade, we all know that during the slave trade, documentation was altered. People's names were changed. Racial codes were given, such as Negro, African American. I mean, not African American, they came later. Negro, colored, okay, mulatto. Those terms were used in place of Indian. So, the local slave trade completed their extinction as a tribe. The reason why is because the extinction has been happening on paper. This has happened to our people through paperwork. We have become extinct as Indians because of paper. Not because we don't exist, because we're all still sitting right here. The issue is we have allowed foreign nations to make us extinct on paper. And we got to fix that. Now, and it's by so many different divisive ways and means, you know what I'm saying, that these things have happened. But it doesn't mean that there's that it's a one-stop shop, like it's said and done. That's not what it means. It's paperwork. Let that soak. The word Timucua may derive from Timucua, and used by the Santeria chiefdom of President Jacksonville for their enemies. The Utina, who lived inland along the St. Johns River, those were their enemies, the Utina, who lived inland along the St. Johns River. Okay. Okay, so they were the Indians of the water, the fresh water. So both groups spoke dialects of the Timucua language. The French followed the Santeria in this usage, but the Spanish applied the term Timucua much more widely to groups within a wider section of interior North Florida. In the 16th century, they designated the North Florida of the Santa Fe River between the St. Johns and Suwannee rivers, roughly the area known as Northern Utina, as the Timucua province, which they incorporated into the mission system. What is a mission system? So this says, beginning in the second half of the 16th century, the Kingdom of Spain established a number of missions throughout Spanish Florida in order to convert the Native Americans to Roman Catholicism. Bro. Okay. So, what they're telling you here, first of all, they said Native Americans. So you got to be careful with that word, because I don't see any mongoloid-looking Asians running around here that call themselves Indians and Native. They're not over here, they're out there. So who are they talking about when they say Native Americans? They're talking about the same people that they ran off of their land, like in Oscarville, Georgia, where you get Lake Lanier, okay? Like in what's that movie with Ving Rhames on it? That was talking about a city in Florida, and the black people rose up because the Europeans were coming in trying to take their land. What movie was that? It's on the tip of my tongue. Pause. What movie was that? Dang, I can't think of it right now. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Is it Deliverance? It's some movie. It's a movie that they talk about. The Europeans were coming in to take over this black town, and all the people inside of the town rose up against the people. Rosewood. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So these cities or these places were already established. They were already established all throughout Florida, all throughout Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. They were already established. So the Five Flags of the Luna, that whole mission that came out from the 13 tribes to colonize America, was to convert the Indians, or us, the black people, to religion, because we didn't do that before. Now here we are. We got all the Bibles and they got all the money. But before they had all the Bibles and we had all the money, they had to come get it. Now we got all the Bibles, they got all the money. Switcheroo. Keep saying that. That's what happened. It's a switcheroo. I'm going to take your place, you take my place. I'm coming into your country with nothing. So now I'm going to absorb your country's rules and laws, and then you won't have nothing. This is why Hitler, I'm telling you, man, this type of action is what would spark somebody to do something like that. You can't see who's who from who. You don't know who's good versus who's bad. All of their factions are underground. They're hidden. They be all around you. You don't even know who they are. But they got a whole team, a whole network of people set up towards one agenda. That is the reason for the genocides that's been happening overseas. These people have been infiltrating other people's ways of life, destroying the people's way. The people that are there, you destroy them so that you can inhabit their world as if it is yours. This is what is going on in America today. Now everybody think they got something to say about a Venezuelan coming over here. This is literally the original blueprint of what happened in America to my people. To the niggas. This is what happened to black folks in this country. So you can't talk about a Venezuelan, you can't talk about a Mexican, you can't talk about a Afghanistan person, Arab. You can't talk about nobody until you address the original infiltration. The original, not the second one. Okay? Because the Caucasian, that was the second invasion. The original invasion. The original. So nobody here should be racist towards nobody because all of y'all is in the same boat. Y'all all in the same boat. You come into somebody else's land, you steal, kill, and destroy, and then you want to talk through the Bible around that part like it ain't you. Meanwhile, you'll never give it back. You know what? You can turn all these curses upon your people around you. Just give us our stuff back. No, we work hard for this. Meanwhile, what happened was the government took the land and then gave the land to your family with all our belongings still on the land. And then y'all assumed our titles and records as if it's your family, calling yourself Indian. And you ran to the government with our documentation to get yourself grafted into a world that did not belong to you. That's a scab. That's nasty work. And then you gallivant around the same land as if you're the king. We had rules for sheriffs and deputies only to keep the town in order. That's it. But then you get a bunch of welfare recipients, and now everybody needs to be a police officer because I got to get some money. That's what you get when you get welfare recipients. That's why the police force, people don't really like the police because what it was operating on was just to keep the order of the town. So you had one sheriff and maybe 2 or 3 deputies that come out and, facilitate. But for the most part, people were self-governing. People govern themselves. But when you get a bunch of welfare recipients, now everybody got to be a police. And now they run around with that uniform on like they're so big and bad and tough and big and all this. That's all welfare recipients. That's why you get them in line in droves that don't care about the public. They have no higher thinking capability. That is not the cure-all, end-all to society. A policeman. We're living under a police state because the people allow it. We can literally take this and reduce it all the way back down to a sheriff and 1 deputy. And it won't be so attractive then, will it, women? We gotta turn everything around, man, because the things that are being done to our people are because we allow these things to be done to our people. Like I told you, the Federal Reserve Bank was a choice. We didn't have to join in with it. A lot of us opposed it. You see, certain things had to happen. Now we're going to continue on talking about these Timucua people, because these people are very, very prominent in their ways. When you get the description of them online, a lot of these descriptions that you see here is going to try to describe them as some type of can't think, no high function, savage type. Yes, they would slice your head off. Absolutely. But the order and the structure that was brought to our continent before the invasion was one that was still being replicated to this day. We're still living under the Timucua order, the original order of the 35 chiefdoms of the southeastern part of the United States of America. Man. Now listen. The Timucua were organized into as many as 35 kingdoms, each of which has hundreds of people in assorted villages within its purview or within its territory. They sometimes formed loose political alliances, but did not operate as a single political unit. That's a lie. That's a lie. They just said 35 kingdoms. We're not going to say chiefdoms because they try to reduce. We're going to say what it is. 35 kingdoms, okay? Each of which had hundreds of people. Hundreds, or you mean thousands? Now, the last one we just read earlier said thousands. Thousands. Over 200,000 people in that area. Thousands of people living in these chiefdoms or kingdoms. Okay? They had thousands of people in assorted villages. So there were villages scattered everywhere. Underneath these kingdoms, there were villages scattered everywhere. They sometimes formed loose political alliances. What is a loose political alliance? What is that? Meaning we mess with you, but not really? No. Don't try to separate my people mentally. We're no longer doing that dance. We ain't living the separation dance no more. So when you come over here, you're going to get congruency and unity, because I'm going to tell you something. The words are power. We say all the time, words are spelling. The way you say the words is extremely powerful. If I come through here and I tell you they formed political alliances, but if I come back and say they formed loose political alliances, you won't take it serious. Loose means you shouldn't take it that serious. If I tell you they had political alliances, you're going to wait a minute. Political alliances? Political? The Indians were doing politics? Oh. This ancient tribe of Indians was doing politics? Oh. And this ancient tribe of Indians from the southeastern part of the United States of America, which is predominantly to this day still overran with original people who call themselves African American and black. The descendants of the Timucua Indians are still here. Oh, and they did politics? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. And then they want to backdoor that and say that they did not operate as a single political unit. Then how do you have 35 different kingdoms in one area unless they're moving as a single political unit, which means that they had a grand chief? What? Wouldn't that be the similarity to a president? Bro, Now we're starting to understand. Now it's starting to unravel. Who are these Indians that inhabited Jekyll Island in order for these bankers to focus their attention on that place? Oh! Won't tell no lies under me. Now, we're going to continue, but of course, you already know we have to avoid the hijack as usual. Okay, they're going to try to give us words to water it down. They're going to try to give us mindset that don't play the proper position and the proper perspective. You know how that go. It has to be written. That's why it's called his story. It's not ours. It's his. So he's going to tell it to you how he see it. But I'm about to tell it to you how I see it. With receipts, not just conjecture. I'm not just watching videos and giving you conjecture. I'm telling you exactly the timeline of the people of this landmass and why we're in this position we're in today. We are now talking about a time where there was no foreigner, yet we had politics amongst melanated Indian groups. Not no Native American. Because anybody can be Native American. All you got to do is be born in this land. 2 Chinese people from China can come over here today and have a baby, and that baby is Native American. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the real Indian people. Look at my avatar. That's an Indian. That's artwork. Somebody from the 1700s, if not the 16. This is an engraving or a picture that they painted of an Indian boy. That was the title given to it. I can go down the street and find somebody look like that. Look like me. It's time. The game is up. The gig is up. You feel me? It's over with. The gig is up. You might as well. When it comes to my watch, the gig is done. There is nothing that you can't tell me nothing about this. This is over with. Those Native Americans out there lying. They have been confessing their sins. Think it's a game. The government trying to smush it down as usual. Those people out there have been confessing their sins. We are not Indians. They've been confessing. You see, that's what the Spirit do. They try to give it to us in the Southeast as if they're still winning, and they're not. That's why California crumbling down, and everybody want to move out of California, start moving down into Houston, coming all east and everything like that, because the gig is up. You know how many hundreds and hundreds of Indian murdered on that side of the, man, come on, man. The gig is up. They're confessing their sins. We are not Indians. And we living on Indian reservations as if we belong here. And you wonder why the land out there be barren and destitute, because it's not going to produce for the false. The land is not going to produce for what is not it. You have to be of the land to produce from the land. Otherwise, you have to create machines to try to copy it. You feel me? If you're not from the land, if you're not of the land won't produce from you. Then you get some people say, well, they got farmers down there doing it. Yeah, man, man, come on. Anybody can jump up in a machine and get the machine to emulate what the indigenous people have done for thousands of years. You create a machine to do that. Then you just ride the machine. Now you're a farmer. Get your ass back. Show ass back. It doesn't come from your hand. It can't come from your hand because the world, the earth, is not going to produce. You don't have the key to unlock the earth to produce for your people. So you got to create false reality. Monsanto, Tyson Meats, and all this other kind of stuff, because the earth don't produce from you. The earth don't give you manna. You don't get that. You got to force things to happen. All right. For those listening. So, as we're going along, you're going to understand something. That we're going to identify ourselves as we are. Even if I gotta sit back here and keep saying this message over and over again until y'all children grow up. If that's what it's gonna take, then that's what it's gonna be. I just be right here and just wait on them. You feel me? Lord bless me, you know what I'm saying? Keep youth on me, man. Let me wait for the kids to come up. Since their parents don't want to get with the program. You feel me? Since their parents don't want to get with the program, just wait for the kids to come up, bro. So, A, you're going to know who you are. Dealing with me over here. B, you're going to put this historical timeline together because that is where the truth is in the historical timeline. It's in the historical timeline. And it's just sitting right there if you'd only read. So C, we're going to learn how to read. Because reading is not just taking the words that are being presented in front of you. Reading is creating an image in your mind. Using phonetic tools to imitate or copy the breakdown of ideology. Okay? And that's what you're going to be using. So, as we go, we're going forward, this is what you're going to be using to identify when you're under the presence of me and not a thief. Now, let's keep going. So now we already have figured out the Timucua people had 35 chiefdoms, 35 kingdoms. And before any foreigner touched this land, the original Indians were already political driven. They already had politics in place. So no crown came over here and created nothing. They stole what was already here. That's what happened. You stole the people, you stole the land, you're stealing the resources, you steal the air, the water, the fish, you want everything. You stole the politics, you stole the banking system, you stole religion, the church. You're stealing it all. So the reality is, the people were already established politically. Well, how can a people be savages and be political at the same time? That don't make sense. That don't make any sense. How can people be savages like they're drawn here, like the engravings they try to always show us in these whitewashed pictures, when they don't really want to show you who the real people are? But if you know, you know. How can these people be savages and be politically driven at the same time? Well, it's either one or the other. The savage part, let's go ahead and break that down, is the hijack. See, you get the savage word come out when people are being called there from where they come from. Now when they get to a land that they don't understand, they want to call everything that's not like them something the opposite. And then they want to adopt the regality or the royalty that was adorned the people that they're being introduced to. So in the morals of jealousy, anytime you get somebody jealous of somebody else, they always want to take their place and give them their place. So one is going to take one's place, and one is going to give their place to the other. So when you see these engravings and drawings of depictions of early this, you have to understand it's been a role reversal. They done put on our clothes. Now they walking around looking like they kings with their hands on their hips and their arms out to their side, because these are power positions. These are power poses. There are certain poses that you can do in the commercial world or the business world that will give you it will give you psychological power over the people that you're speaking with, over the people you're engaging, over the people that you're trying to gain control of their mentality. So, for instance, if I stand in front of you with a Superman pose or my fist balled up with my hands at my hips, it automatically puts you in a space of subservience over me because of the pose or the stance that I've taken. So when you look at these engravings, most of the time the European has engraved himself in a power pose. And then you see the other people as if they're answering to him. This is the way that it keeps being depicted. That's how you know you're looking at a lie. You see, the reality is you don't come to somebody else's land and think you're going to tell them what to do. It don't work like that. It don't work that way. So, as we going forward, we need to understand two things. That we've been lied to. And in order for us to realize that we've been lied to, we're going to have to fix the lie inside of our own brain on our own. Nobody is going to tell you how to work your way out of lies. A liar don't tell you how to undo the lie. He's just going to keep lying. You feel me? That's his job. He's just going to keep lying to you. So the more you keep running back to him, he's going to keep giving you more and more lies. The more you keep running back, he's going to keep giving you more and more lies. This is his job. And if he can't lie to you, he'll employ somebody that looks like you to lie to you. But you know it's still him because it's going to have the same essence of energy over that person that's chosen. So now you got fake black people in front of you that still talk like the white man and still give you lies. It's the same reality. Yo, man, these people won't let me rest. That's how I know the energy. Temperatures rise. Temperature rise. So keep your head. What they told Andre 3000 in a song? Keep your heart 3 steps. Keep your heart. Even if it's small 3 steps. Yeah, keep your heart 3 steps. Keep your heart. The bitch is small. What you doing? So as we move forward, it has to be understood that these Indians were extremely important to the origins of America when it comes to the Federal Reserve Bank, because the political diagram that they already had set up was not, it was hijacked, utilized, flipped in reverse, and given back to his people as a means to not enhance their lives, but rather strip their lives of everything that they once stood for and owned. The Timucua may have been the first American natives. No, they were the first American natives to see the landing of Juan Ponce de Leon, if that landing was near St. Augustine in 1513. Because remember, it was 35 kingdoms, so this is who he came in contact with. You're not going to randomly show up in somebody's land and think you just going to be unannounced, unchecked. There's nobody there to meet you. It doesn't work like that. Otherwise, there are multiple, before the Caucasian was introduced to the world, there were other bloodlines that would have introduced themselves in that same similar manner to just show up at a certain place. It does not work like that. Okay? Now you have some accounts that give Christopher Columbus going to Plymouth Rock. We now know that the Plymouth was a ship, or the Mayflower or something like that those were the name of the ships. But where did they go? Then they want to steer you south further. They say they went to the Caribbean islands. Yeah, that's where they went. They went down south to the Caribbean islands. Completely, they don't tell you nothing about Jekyll Island at all. You say nothing about the Timucua Indians at all. However, these were the 35 chieftains. This is the place where politics was held, where the 35 tribes did their political meetings to meet in order to keep peace and to politic about trade, about this, about that. This is where those type of meetings were held. Where do you think you get congressional meetings from? That didn't come from overseas. We created everything the world is looking at. Everything. There's nothing out here that you're looking at that we did not create. Everything. What you have on the other side are thieves. You want to know how? Because if you go back in their history, it's not my history. You go back in their history, all it talks about is people killing other people and taking their stuff. There's a history of them killing each other and taking each other's stuff. That's what they do. They were not moving in a political manner. That came later, after the introduction of our people to their mindset. Then they became more educated and more aware and more this, more that. Before that, it was all about warfare, kill, destroy. This is in the blood. You cannot deny the blood. You can't deny the blood. Okay, now there's another article, and mind you, now this is on Wikipedia. So what I read you from is from Wikipedia, and all I typed in was Timucua, Timucua, and all of this is there. Okay, they like to call our people Native American. We are not Native American. We are American Indians. Okay, they look, Native Americans, sometimes called American Indians, First Americans, or Indigenous Americans. They want to call us our name after they put that false stuff on there. I'm sorry. After they put that false name on there, Native Americans, then they want to call you your real name, American Indian, First American, Indigenous American. Okay? So when you go down to the DMV, you want to put your name, American Indian, First American, Indigenous American. That's your name. Okay? That is your name. Get paid free. That is your name. It's time to utilize your name. Because if you don't use it, now you have other people trying to steal it from the land of thieves. Okay? Now look, I'm looking at right now, and you can go type this on Wikipedia and it'll show you. File Indigenous Americans by county. Okay? And this was updated. Let me see when this was updated last. December 2021 was the last update to it. Okay? So now you know it's chock full of lies. Because I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm looking at the map right now, and in the southeastern part of the United States, they're saying that there are no indigenous people, less than 2% indigenous. You want to know why? Because they all calling themselves black. All the indigenous people living all over this country calling themselves black and African American. So they're not including you in this population count. They're including them people that say Native American, right? Because look, the Indigenous American map, okay, the Indigenous American map, this is how they're getting themselves in. They say that Indigenous American, meaning American Indian, there's nobody claiming American Indian. That's why the majority of this map is less than 2%, because there's nobody claiming American Indian, because none of these other groups can. They can't. It's a lie. The minute they claim that, they have to get deported. It's a lie. It's a full-blown lie. So you have 80% or more in Alaska. Listen now, in Alaska, in what is this? New Mexico and Utah, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, You have 80% or more because indigenous American by definition means either American Indian, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islanders. So that means that most of these people that you see 80% or more are falling under the Alaska Native. They're classifying themselves under the Alaska Native. And there's 80% or more in these areas. However, there's less than 2% because the very first one that says American Indian, nobody is claiming it. Because those people are calling themselves Black and African American. So they can't claim it. This is insane. This is insanity. And yet we'll walk around and say, man, such and such said we had a little Indian. What you mean a little? How do you have a little Indian in your family? Explain that to me, huh? How do you have a little bit of Indian in your family? Show me one. I've never seen one before with a little bit of Indian in my family. I've never seen that and it be true. You feel what I'm saying? Never. You're either that or you're not. So you're that and you don't know it, and you're not and you're lying. There is no little bit of Indian. It don't work like that. Okay? So I'm going to let y'all stew on that for a while. And maybe here tomorrow, because I'll be back here tomorrow talking a little bit more shit. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all, man. Y'all be good tonight. Peace.